When someone in the Ohio Valley needs help, their neighbors always step up. That's been the scene in Ohio County since fatal flash floods hit the area a week and a half ago.
This week we are highlighting those who came to help as our Hannah's Heroes.
In the darkest hours of Ohio County's recent flash flooding, when water swept away homes, cars, and lives, there was no hesitation. Law enforcement, emergency crews, and everyday people became the lifeline for a community in crisis. When the calls started flooding in, the Ohio County Sheriff's Office didn't just respond, it activated a region. Sheriff Nelson Croft put out an all-call that was answered by departments from Belmont, Hancock, Marshall, Wetzel, Jefferson, and even McDowell counties. Every day since, at least 5 extra officers have been on shift, and overtime is unlimited.
They would be here if I weren't giving them overtime, so they might as well get paid for what they're doing.
Hundreds of desperate calls poured into 911 that night. Sheriff Croft says the dispatchers are among the quietest heroes of all, staying on the phone, listening, guiding, hoping.
Hearing what is going on the other end of the line and knowing that they can't put their hands on some equipment to do something about it, it's a struggle, and you know, I hope they're taking care of their mental health.
Despite the emotional toll, law enforcement showed up each day with courage and commitment.
Putting on their strong face, and they're, ready for war, but they're desperate, and that's, to be honest with you, I think they're struggling. I think we're all struggling a little bit, but none of them will let it show.
People were trapped in homes, buildings, even clinging to trees, rescued by strangers with boats, ropes, and raw determination.
They performed about 15 swiftwater rescues themselves, and the volunteer fire departments, which we activated all of them, performed about 75 rescue calls, getting people out of buildings and things, and that was probably within the first couple hours.
Even as the creek swelled, Vargo says the invisible lines between counties disappeared.
That river doesn't divide us. We were getting calls from all over just offering support. What do you need? And they came out and helped us. The citizens who came from areas that were not affected.
As the water receded, the recovery began, and so did the next wave of heroes. Public Works crews tackled the muck and debris. The Department of Highways, National Guard, DEP, DNR, and locals stepped in.
I can honestly tell you there's thousands of people that have volunteered to help, and there's probably thousands of people that have shown up at one time or another to help. We had 3 centers opened up where we were taking donations, and we had so many volunteers you couldn't even walk through. Not only that, but you had people going into the neighborhoods to offer assistance. You had men that had backhoes and tractors and dump trucks and anything they had available.
Campbell says people with dump trucks and backhoes showed up without being asked. Donations came from as far as the Carolinas. The help was constant.
We were getting calls from all over the tri-state area. I have a swiftwater team. I have an engine. Any type of equipment. What do you need? If we don't have it, we're going to find it for you.
Sheriff Croft says community support kept his department going, from thank you notes to food donations.
Quaker Steak and Lube, I said I might need some help feeding out of county deputies, and they say, send them up here, we got you. Luke DePlaga, Generations, send them down, we got you. And because that's the way this valley is, and I, you have to call those folks heroes too.
But it was one meal that Croft will never forget. A man serving food at the Methodist church handed him a plate.
It was his niece and great niece that died in the flood, and he said, I just wanted to give back.
Even with the rescues over, the trauma still remains. Crews have seen things they will never forget.
It's unbelievable the stories they will tell you about. They witness people going by in vehicles yelling for help, and they can't get to them. They can't do anything to get to them. So there's a lot of crisis intervention that's going to need to be done after this, not only with our group in emergency management, the volunteers out there.
Even as deputies worked donation lines and disaster scenes, they still handled everyday emergencies. Crashes, thefts, structure fires.
We still have crime. We still have a shoplifter we're dealing with right at this moment. And we have crashes every day in various places. We had a structure fire yesterday and assisted the fire department with a EMS call at the Oak Bay Pool. So we have these jobs to do, but we still have everything else.
There is still cleanup to do, still grief, Still stories being written. But one thing is certain, Ohio County has never been more united or more heroic.
They've done everything they possibly can to help their fellow humans. I mean, that's all you can ask for. Everybody that's involved in this is a hero, as far as I'm concerned.
It wasn't just deputies and dispatchers, not just firefighters and road crews. It was strangers with shovels, churches with food, neighbors with towels. They didn't wear capes, but they showed up soaked, exhausted, and full of heart. It was those who gathered together for their fellow human. You didn't just respond to a flood. You stood for a community. And that's what makes you this week's Hannah's Heroes. Reporting for Hannah's Heroes, I'm Hannah Hayes.
And if you have someone that you would like to nominate for Hannah's Heroes, you can do so by scanning the QR code on your screen or by visiting WTOV9.com.